Now, a lot of studies on people who've been picked up as terrorists, if you take them back into their early childhood, they have a very strong history of being part of families which were, the whole family was very violent and aggressive.
Okay.
It was the father beating up the children, the mother beating up the children beating up the grandparents beating up the parents. So it was a violent family in which violence was a culture. It was a norm. To be abusive, aggressive, hostile, intolerant was part of the culture in which this child was being brought up.
Okay.
So in his software, if we can use that term, there is this unfortunate file, you see, which says violence is endorsable. It can be done, and you can get away with it.
And how about those children who turn violent out of a peaceful family?
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to sort of come to. Now, during these formative years, the first 5 years, if you grow up in a culture of violence in a family where violence is a norm, you have already corrupted the software.
Okay.
Now, what happens in subsequent years is that between 12 and 18 years of one's life, when you're an adolescent, you get into an ideological crisis in life. And I'm sure you would have gone through it. I've gone through it. We stop to believe in everything in the world. We think we are the wisest people. You see, there are some wise people sitting on those chairs as well. You stop to believe in God. You stop to believe in cultural norms. You want to dress up different. You want to chill in a different way. You see, you challenge every norm of the society. Now, in that very fluid and flux mind state, if you are unfortunately invaded or somebody invades you as an ego ideal, it can be an unfortunately terrorist organization's representative. It could be a setting in which, let's say, there's a madrasa, and in that madrasa is this man who's been cultivated by a terrorist organization to, behave as if it was a very pious mullah and teaching Quran.
Indeed.
So that's the face of that individual. He's actually neither. He's not teaching Quran. He's not a mullah. In fact, he's just that agent who is going to now corrupt that individual in his formative years, make him feel that, you see, one of the great phenomena in adolescence is to behave like a rescuer. All of you know that when we are in adolescent years, and particularly in teen years, we want to rescue people. You see, a girl can come to you and say, oh my God, my parents are terrible with me, and you want to rescue her.
Okay.
And, and you then call it, you see, I'm just being a friend here, I'm a rescue. So we all know that. Now, that comes out of a kind of an instinct that is there in an adolescent. And then he's full of energy. So he thinks that he can actually rescue people.
Okay.
Now, on this particular frame, that hormone within you, that hormonal makeup, mixed with that corrupt software, so now you have an agent sitting there who can capitalize and tell you, do you know how various organizations, the Blackwater, the Americans, this, that, and the other, and Park Forge, they're killing children in the northern areas, they're bombing innocent people. You see, now remember that instinct in that child. So it's very easy for this adolescent now to start to believe in that propaganda.
If anybody is doing that, I'm sorry, I'm really cutting you off, but if anybody starts misguiding the youngsters out there, because I'm sure like many of us go through like every day.
Yeah.
So what should they do and how should they react to that?
Remember the earlier part that I was talking about in the corridor, the cognition part. Yes. Never let your problem solving abilities leave you. See, it's your thinking that's going to save you basically. Just try and see through people. See, but foremost I think it is to also work on your emotions and feelings. See, the three emotions that are capitalized are the emotions that you need to become conscious of psychologically within you. And if you're conscious of these three phenomena, because these three phenomena are always going to eclipse your thinking capacities and your cognitions. First is fear, as I mentioned earlier, induced by the terrorist. The other are anger, aggression, and gloom. These three phenomena are also capitalized by the terrorist organizations. They make you feel angry, aggressive, hostile, and at the same time very gloomy and sad that look how much killing is taking place, how much misery is all out there, because these emotions are going to now go and eclipse your mindset. your thinking abilities and problem solving abilities. So you would leave aside your lectures, you would leave aside your classrooms, you would then become a rescuer who would pack up and leave for the mountains in a bid to settle the scores with those who are actually responsible for causing that misery.
Sir, जी, आप कोई example relate कर सकते हैं इससे कि while interrogating somebody?
I would like to pick up from where Brigadier
Please.
Rana left,
Please.
and for all of us to remember what he said. He said anger, aggression and gloom. It makes Arg. Arg is fire.
Beautiful. Beautiful statement, sir.
Stay away from it.
Beautiful.
Why I said this? Because I think you are likely to, this will sink into your mind.
You will remember it.
You will remember. And if you stay away from Arg, I think it. So please, what was the question?
While interrogating a person who otherwise was very calm, very composed, and yet he had done a major act of violence, what was the interrogation about? What did he say? आपकी ज़िंदगी में बहुत सी examples होंगी ऐसी कि जब practically आपने उन terrorists को जाके interrogate किया होगा, तो what did they used to say in response to that?
Well, as far as terrorists are concerned, the first thing they are taught is by those who patronize them, that when you are caught, try to withhold information for the maximum time.
Okay.
Reasons that all those who are associated with them, they are directed to allow them time to disappear, to go where they are told to go. So initially, when we start interrogating them, they are very reluctant, quiet, but very confident, and they say, we are not involved. Again, there are different categories.
Okay.
There are some who, in initial stages, I am saying, in the early 2000, say 2002, 2003, 2004, and they were very forthcoming.
Okay.
And they would straight away confess
Okay.
that this is what they have done, and what they have done is absolutely right. Terrorists are different categories again,
Okay.
although we are discussing extremism, but since you have asked me a question, so there are sectarian terrorists who indulge in sectarian assassinations only. And you know when I mean sectarian, whom I am referring to. Then they are the ones who actually are militant types.
Okay.
Like the one incidents that we are witnessing these days. As far as sectarian are concerned, the others also, but they think in their view is absolutely right, they are justified, and they call it, actually they use the word kare sawab.
Okay.
What they have done, they have earned sawab. And they come out with the facts.
Okay.
Only when you confront them with certain facts and you convince them that you know more than they know about themselves.
Okay.
You know more about their plans than they know.
Okay.
But if you want to resort to, the stereotype and those old methods of using force against them, coercing them, intimidating them, or using force against them to pressure them to share with you or to disclose what they possess,
Okay.
doesn't work.
Okay.
They have to be logically convinced that today, if he has been caught at a point, we know that this is your plan.
Okay.
From here you were to go to that point,
All right.
so and so was your target, this was your objective, and they are your associates, so and so has sent you, so and so has patronized you, so and so is your mentor, etc., etc. So if they know that, I mean, you have to outsmart them, you have to outwit them. Logically.
Okay.
And once they know that you know everything,
Okay.
then there's no problem, then they start narrating. As we say, they start singing.